Hello and welcome to the Copilot and AI Prompt-a-thon from Everon and iThink 365. I'm Jamie Marshall from Everon and I'm joined by Simon Doy from iThink.
Hi there. Yep, Simon Doy, owner of iThink, and it's great to be here. Thanks for inviting us, Jamie.
So hopefully on this webinar, we're going to kind of talk a bit informally about what Copilot is, different flavors, and then we're going to get into the kind of meat of prompts, best practices, and maybe share with people a few kind of use cases or ideas to get people started basically and help maximize what people are getting out of
Yeah,
Copilot.
definitely. Yeah, sounds good.
So to start with then, obviously everybody's aware of ChatGPT. We have Copilot, which is intertwined, I guess, or part of
Yeah.
that same GPT family with
Yep.
Microsoft taking a stake in OpenAI.
Yep.
Microsoft being Microsoft have created different flavors or variants of Copilot, which might be confusing for people.
Yeah, definitely.
We've got obviously, or in Windows 11 now, everybody should be seeing a Copilot icon of some sort in various different places. Do you want to start, Simon, and just maybe explain kind of some of the differences or nuances to the different Copilot elements?
Yeah, I think yeah. So the first thing, where my sort of my expertise in area is mostly is in the Microsoft 365 editions of Copilot, and I'll share some slides shortly of the differences. But Microsoft at the end of January released, they're calling it Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat. And so the idea of that is to allow anybody with a Microsoft 365 license, that be, the sort of, the basic Microsoft 365 basic standard premium, the E3, F1 licenses, to be able to have access to Copilot Chat. And Copilot Chat is the kind of really the Teams interface. It's also called Biz Chat as well, and it's allowing people to use OpenAI ChatGPT models, very similar in some respects to the ChatGPT Canvas capability with elements like Copilot Pages, and we can do some demos around that. But it's really allowing anybody to access that. So, as an organization, often people really want to make use of AI, but and they will look at ChatGPT or other ones, and this is allowing people to access those generative AI capabilities in Microsoft 365 for free. There are some bits which aren't free, which you can add on. So we have this concept of an AI agent. And an AI agent is different to a copilot in that an agent is doing things for you. And within the Microsoft Copilot world, we have Copilot Studio agents where we can build these agents. And if you think about it around a business process, you can use agents to help with that business process, whether it's gathering knowledge, and we'll do a demo of that later. But there's also SharePoint agents as well. So Microsoft made it really easy within SharePoint to create a SharePoint agent. And those are available in the free version, but you're paying for them. You're paying for them through a pay-as-you-go meter. So what does that mean? It means that you create a link into your Microsoft Azure subscription, and as that agent is being used by your users, you're then racking up some costs against
charges.
that. Yeah, that's right. So so Microsoft Copilot Chat gives you all this. Well, the one thing, the big thing it doesn't do is it doesn't have the ability for the AI agents to reason over the work. Your work, it's not work grounded. It doesn't have access to your email and messages and documents. And so, and it doesn't have, and it's not that there's no Copilot in the various Office applications like in Teams and Outlook and Word and Excel and PowerPoint and those sort of things. There are some elements of enterprise data protection and management around the agents, and there's some Copilot controls around that. Then, if you sort of go from that to Microsoft 365 Copilot, and this is the bit that I find confusing because it's just you're taking away the chat. That has all of the same things, but it's also grounded against your work And that's a massive thing. So you can get it to reason over email, messages, tasks, documents, and it also adds Copilot into the various different Office products, such as Teams, Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc. And there's some real interesting things which you can start doing and using those Copilot in those tools. You can also extend Copilot using Copilot Studio to bring agents into those Word, Excel, PowerPoint tools too. And into Teams. So that's kind of a brief overview.
In my mind, I think if you're investing in Copilot and you genuinely want to see an organizational change or benefit from using an AI or a Copilot, you need to be living in Copilot for Microsoft 365, I think maybe the term is. And I did a video a few weeks back on LinkedIn about the cost. It's circa £25 a month right now, but when you factor in what somebody's salary is, I think I worked out on a base salary of 25k a year, their hourly cost is about £12.83, and this is just blunt math of not taking into account any extra costs. So you only need to utilize Copilot to save 2 hours a month to get that £25 investment back. So I think in terms of on the face of it, if people are put off by the cost, if you actually look back at what you're spending on staff costs and how easy it is to save a little bit of time here and there, you'll soon get that £25 return back. And that's before we even start looking at Agents, Copilot Studio, and some of the kind of bigger changes it can help with and the things it can really maximize efficiencies in.
Yeah, that's right, and I think as well, because you've now got this this free capability as well. A lot of it, to be able to get the value is staff training and understanding how to use these tools, and so people can start to get up to speed with the tools using the free version against the web, and then as the company gets more comfortable, it can start pushing out pilot programs into in some of the key areas where there is real value. Anybody who's a knowledge worker, finding information out, that is where Microsoft 365 Copilot comes in. Microsoft keep changing the branding, so Copilot for Microsoft 365 it was, and now it's Microsoft 365 Copilot. But absolutely.
And I think then that probably leads us into one of the reasons for doing this, and some of the Copilot stuff we've got coming up over the next few months is around helping people understand how it can actually be utilized more. And I guess some of the prompting techniques and things we talk about will apply to other AIs as well. But
yes, absolutely.
We want to, I guess, move people away from thinking too small and just summarizing an email or writing a piece of content to more useful, bigger and better kind of uses of AI, don't we?
Yeah, that's right. I think it's it's some of the challenges thinking about what is it that you're doing every week, every day, that actually you could get the AI to help you do those things, and then once you've thought of what it is you're trying to do, it's then learning the art of prompting to be able to get the result that you're looking for, that's really the art of it, and having the training available as well. And there's lots of resources out there, and Microsoft we've got some great resources which we'll share, won't we? So I mean, did you want to start off with the the GCSE framework? Is that
I think that's probably a good place to start, isn't it? So let me just open up. So Microsoft have coined a phrase which isn't to be confused with the exam here in the UK, but essentially GCSE is a framework you can use when you're talking and interacting with AI, and it's all about delivering better inputs to get more sophisticated outputs. So I've shared with you a page on the Microsoft site or one of the sites, which will put all of this sort of stuff in the notes along with the webinar when it goes out as well. But essentially, GCSE stands for goal, context, expectations, and source. So we're trying to move away from this idea of just saying, "Can you write me this email?" and change it into, "I've got a proposal due for client X in this industry." So we're giving it goal and context. My output, what I'm expecting, is a proposal document that outlines this, this, and this. And source, to get the right information in that document, you can reference these internal files here, and that'll help you build up and give you a bit more kind of an overview. And I think Stuart here at Everon, we were talking recently, and he talked about the difference between Google or Google Foo and AI prompting, and where in Google or search engines we might not put too big of a line in because we want Google to give us back insight and results where we can make our own mind up. It's flipped on its head with AI prompting in our mind. You need to give it more defined input to be able to help it reason properly and get the right outputs. So I think the GCSE framework is something that people can kind of just adopt, and every time we're prompting for something, we can try and answer those 4 questions and make sure that sort of stuff's put into a prompt.
Yeah, I think absolutely, and yeah, I mean, Microsoft got it laid out a little bit differently, haven't they? But here, but yeah, I think the important thing is treating the AI as a person, really, in some respects. In what I mean by that is, you're sort of, if you were giving a task to somebody, how do you set out what you want them to do? What's the goal? Where is this information going to be used? What are your expectations from that person when they've delivered? What is you wanting to get out of it? And then helping them, just guide them where they maybe should start looking. And so in a similar way, you're trying to, you're doing the same thing with your prompt. You're trying to give it enough context, enough information so that it can make the right choices and decisions. It's just really, really important. And sort of evolving that on, where we talk about prompts, you'd start off sort of simple, so you get going, and then it becomes, an iterative piece of work. So, the first time you run it, it's probably not going to give you quite what you're wanting, and so you then add a bit more to give you a bit more information and build on it, like you'd write a document or anything else that you do. You start simple.
Yeah, and there's the ability to feedback almost each time we prompt, isn't there, with the thumbs up, thumbs down kind of icons in most AIs, where you can help refine how well it performed, and over time, by utilizing the same AI with the same credentials, it's going to build up an understanding of what you do and how you do it.
Well, Microsoft will take that feedback as well, and they will look at the context, and they will use that to kind of refine how the LLM is configured too. So, yeah, I mean, but that's a great point. To be able to give the LLM feedback, so you start off and using it as that, bouncing ideas and giving it feedback of what you were expecting, and for it to have another go. They are great ways of working. I do this quite a bit, often sort of looking to come up with ideas for things to talk about, or when when you want to go and meet a customer, for example, and the areas which you think you're going to talk about, and then sort of putting the LLM into the position of the customer and getting it to kind of say, well, what questions would you ask if you were a customer, and using it in that way to help find, improve and prepare you for a meeting is a great example.
Yeah, okay. And I think other examples of how we've used that sort of stuff are when it comes to the Tech Remedy podcast and some of the stuff we put out here.
Okay.
We'll give it a different we'll use the same maybe clip or snippet when we're promoting stuff, but when we might use the AI, we'll ask it to create a line that's maybe salesy or maybe really educational with tonality and things like that. So we can utilize it and tailor the feedback that we get in the outputs by kind of giving it a bit more context in that. And we might even do a thing where we say, right, for this clip, we're going to do 5 posts. We want 3 to be educational, 1 to be about awareness, and 1 to be about purchase.
Nice,
and it can again then change its outputs and give you a few different options, can't it?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's right. Did we want to talk about different types of prompting? Did we want to talk about sort of 0 shot and few shot and chain of thought? Just, to kind of take, sort of build on from that, the goal.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. So let's sort of talk about this. I shall pull up I'll pull up a slide, and so let me just pull that up. So let's just share this. what we're sort of talking about here is kind of the, I talked about the evolution of, let's hide you out of the way so you don't get in the way. The evolution of when you're working on a prompt. So when you first start, you're trying to achieve something. You often start off with what they call a zero-shot prompt. You're not really giving much context or much information to the AI and the LLM to be able to get a result back. So in this example here, we've got a prompt which is saying classify this text into neutral, negative, or positive. So we're giving it 3 options, and then telling it to use this text. So I think the vacation is okay, and then we've got sentiment, and it's blank, and we're not telling it what to do. Well, we're telling it to classify the text. We're not telling it where to put it, and we're not really giving it any more context. We're just using the LLM's knowledge to be able to give a response back, and so we get this output that it's neutral, and that's kind of seen as a zero-shot prompt, that you're not really giving any more information. If it didn't give the right result back, or if there was some nuances like, well, yeah, we'll class neutral when they say this or they sound like this, then that's when you kind of lead into what they call sort of few-shot prompting. And a few-shot prompting is where you're looking for a more complex result, so you give the LLM some examples so that it can then work out what the results should be. And with language, this works really, really well. So we've got some different headlines, and we're asking what's the topic for each of these headlines. Notice again, we're not telling it out what to do actually. We've just got this prompt, and then it's using its knowledge to be able to come up with a result. And so apparently Manchester City is a football team, who don't know, and so you get this output football. So you're getting that result. So that's called few-shot prompting.
So just a quick question on that for what people might be thinking here is, on your zero shot, when would you use this? Would you try and use zero shot when you don't want to bias an output, but if you're doing something a bit more nuanced, or where you need to influence or educate a bit more, you'd switch to a few shot style prompt?
So if you had maybe a decision-making process, and there's certain criteria, which means, maybe it's like investing in this stock, and you use some metrics to do that. You say, well, in these examples this would be a buy, and in these examples this would be a sell, or whatever it might be, or a hold. So you would use those. You'd give it some examples of where it would be a buy, where it would be a hold, where it would be a sell, and so you're giving you're kind of what they call fine tuning, but you're explaining to it how you want it to reason. So that's kind of that's sort of the next step, and this works well with language. However, it doesn't work so well with maths. Though, to be fair, the LLMs are getting a lot better, and so they are getting better at maths. So it used to be that you would say, you'd ask a question of an LLM, which is bigger, 3 times 3 or 8, and it would say 8 was bigger. Right, because it wasn't calculating it. But now the LLMs are, they've got more knowledge, they're smarter, they've better reasoning, and so they go, well, 3 times 3 is 9, so 8 is smaller than 9, so it's the 3 times 3. So it's just an example, and it's the same. So the next sort of evolution, and from few shot, and this is where you're often doing mathematic type answers, is when you're asking it to calculate something. So we're seeing on the left, we've got Roger has 5 tennis balls, he buys 2 more cans of tennis balls, each can has 3. How many tennis balls do you have? And then you ask the question, and it will get it wrong often, because it doesn't have the awareness to be able to do that calculation. But if you explain to it the chain of thought, and so how you got to that answer, then it will get it off. It'll not always get it right, but pretty much it would get it right then, because it will start to use that a calculation of how you calculate that value, and it will get it right. So you're giving it that chain of thought. And actually we've had GPT 4.5 sort of launched last week, and we've got these GPT sort of models, and we've got these sort of deep thinking reasoning models, these
Yeah,
O
I was going
series
to ask
models.
about that actually.
Yeah, and what they're doing, those O models, is they're sort of like they are doing some of this chain of thought side and doing some more reasoning. So they're slower to respond and more expensive to run, but they are doing some of this work so they get better answers. So
people
yeah.
might now see that, especially in the ChatGPT, see that reasoning button in the prompt, and essentially that would kind of do this more in-depth element in the chain of thought stuff that you're kind of talking about now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so you we haven't we talked about an agent, but so you have in these models, it's sort of multi-agent. So you've got one agent coming up with answers, and my understanding is then another agent sort of in the reasoning, kind of validating the answers before it's then fed back to the user. So yeah, you've got that sort of quality check, and if it doesn't think it's right, then it'll tell it to have another go. So that's why they're more expensive and slower to come up with a result. But we'll share the links to this. It's a great set of tools, the prompting guide.ai. I've got some great prompt engineering guides, and yeah, really useful. And I learned a lot of this at the start of my journey. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's really useful. I think it's probably important to say as well, isn't it, that this is moving so quickly that people the way we use things and the reasoning button, for example, the way we will use them in the future is continuously evolving. But I guess
Yes.
the underlying methodology is always going to be the same.
Yeah, that's right. I agree with you. And I think yes, there's a lot of thought that maybe people need to do less prompt engineering, but I don't think that's true, because I still think you need to give a lot of context to get the result that you want out. It's just that what you'll be asking these LLMs to do will be more complicated, and as well, they're looking at it was the new Claude Sonnet. Is it Sonnet 3.7? The new Claude 3.7 model has this slider, so you can sort of tell it whether to be more of a transformer type A or do more sort of reasoning and deep thought. And Sam Altman, OpenAI, has talked about a similar thing, that's what they're looking to sort of blend the two together. So you've got the speed and the capability of the sort of the transformer models, and then you can choose to have the reasoning and deep thought capabilities in those O series. So yeah.
Perfect. In terms of then, I think maybe is now a good time to jump into some examples or to talk about some use cases and what we've seen or what we're doing. I
Yeah,
know
of
you
course.
guys
Yeah.
specifically are doing some quite cool stuff at the minute around not necessarily prompting as such, but you're doing stuff in and around Teams and how it uses the transcripts and stuff like that as well.
Yes, that one I don't have a demo of at the moment.
No, that's fine. We can talk
but
about those sort of things.
yeah, we can. Yeah. So yeah, no, absolutely. So like we all have it. I have it all the time where you're in back-to-back meetings, and like Jamie, you're chatting to all your customers, and you're reaching out to new customers, and you're understanding what they're looking to do and the challenge they've got. You have that meeting. You want to kind of feedback to the customer. This is what we talked about. All these things. But unfortunately, you've gone from that meeting straight into another meeting to do the same thing, and that continues on to the end of the day. And so what we could do is start using Microsoft Teams, using the transcript to record the conversation that's happened. And Microsoft do this already, where it'll Copilot in Teams will allow you to kind of get a summarization of the meeting and the actions and all those things, which is really cool. But you still need to copy and paste that and do something with it. But what we've been doing is building a tool, a product called Smart Notes, which will allow you to pre-create sort of a word template or a text template describing all the sections. You might be a requirements document template, and you then describe to it how to fill out and populate the different sections of that document, and just within Teams click a couple of buttons, and off it'll go, and it'll generate you this Word document, which is templated how you want it to be, filling out and giving you a really good first sort of step. So you can then take that document, make a few tweaks and changes, and then send that out to the customer or wherever it needs to go. And it's those things which save a lot of time, but they also give you like, I think it's difficult to to kind of talk about time with AI, because it's like, okay, great, I've saved this time, but what does that mean? Like, what we're making the assumption is that other people are then going to do something really magical with that time. But what I do think it does, it allows you to kind of sit back and have a bit more thoughts when you're doing something. So we don't have enough time, and often being able to sit back and just think things through a bit more properly, that can have a lot of value. Like, just I really like just going out for walks and thinking about stuff, and that's where often my sort of crazy ideas come from. So
I think, like you
that has
mentioned,
value.
If the pressure of creating that document and creating the notes is taken away from you in that meeting, you can be more engaged with the person you're speaking to as well, can't you? And
Absolutely.
the quality of that meeting is better because you're not trying to do two things at once. And I guess what we're talking about now is not an extreme example, but from just talking about basic prompts to what we're talking about now is more of a bit of a leap. But ultimately what it's doing is, where right now you would copy manually that summary and that transcript and put it into your chart and reference it and ask it questions and ask it, can you fill out, can you create me this document? Ultimately, the system you're making is cutting out that whole manual step, isn't it? So it's going 2-3 stages further, where it's going to do that action, but it's going to be automated in a way where people don't need to be involved in it.
Yeah, that's right. And it'll be more consistent. Different people, won't have different results. And then the fact is that somebody then can look at that, and then they can just take a step back and go, right, well, what is the main outcomes out of here? Or, oh, yeah, there's an opportunity there. Right, let's make sure we highlight that and how we can help them with that opportunity. And rather than just being in the detail and the work of like, you've got to get this out, right? Okay, you've got more time to think, and then that might lead to a higher percentage of sales or whatever it might be, and that really does then have value, doesn't it, to the business? So yeah, absolutely.
So to jump back, I guess, to bits people can do right now and the ways people can utilize chat specifically right now. What kind of examples have you seen people using? What maybe do you guys use?
Sure.
And we can maybe throw around some ideas like that to get people started, I guess.
Yeah, cool. I'll share my screen again. So the thing that I sort of do every week, and let me just hide you, and I might have to cut this out. We're going to Copilot, and I'll just open this up into a new window. If you don't know how to do this, this is a great feature. Let's open that up in here. The thing that I do every week on a Friday is I look at what my plan is for the next week. And so I want to get an output of, like, by each day, what meetings have I got, and then I use that then to work out what activities, what other tasks I've got to do, and so the way that I do that. This is Copilot Chat. This is Copilot in Teams. Notice at the top we've got two tabs. We've got a work and a web tab. So if you just we talked about the Copilot 365, Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat. That would only have the web option, but we've got Microsoft 365 Copilot, so we've got the work option here, and in here we've got these prompts. Microsoft give you loads of prompts, so if you're looking for inspiration around where things to do, here's some great ones in here. So we can sort of summarize meetings which you've had, and summarize messages from a manager in the last 48 hours, catch up on a meeting, all sorts in here. If we drop down the tasks here, we can see different activities and filters, so we can sort of see different categories of prompts. So we can use things, again, about being prepared for the day, so we can ask it to show what meetings I have. But the other thing as well as you can do is you can have your own prompts. So if we click on your prompts, I've got this prompt here, and it's I want, can you review next week? So I like to be able to use the AI to help me prepare for next week. So on a Friday at about 3:30, I will review my next week. And you can see how long I've been using this for. So the 18th of November. What date are we on today? We're on the 6th. So yeah, so let's go for the 10th of March.
Yeah.
So now you have to put in 2025 because I found it where it's spat out tasks from last year, which was no use to me at all.
Context again, isn't it? You're giving it more context.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, what is the goal? Have I got a goal here? So can you review next week, starting from the 10th of March, from Monday to Friday, split out what meetings and tasks have by each day to complete. So we're kind of saying the format we're looking for, the expectation, and then we're giving it context of what we're trying to do. So this will help me review my week and keep on top of things that I need to do. Now I will have to say we'll run it. As I mentioned before, as one of the things is these LLMs can be a bit lazy, and sometimes we might get a partial answer where we might get Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday are a regurgitation of Monday and Tuesday.
Okay.
But I think it's looking like it's behaving itself. So apparently I've got nothing on Friday, which is don't know if that's quite right, but it's one of the things, with AI, you need to have a human in the loop at the moment. You need to have that check. Yeah. But anyway, so this is what it's done. So it's, we've got management meetings with the team, marketing, and taking Hugo swimming, and so it's helping me to kind of get up to speed with what's going on. If I then look further down, I've got what tasks and things, and it is pulling these things out of my general work and emails and things, and so sometimes these can be hit and miss, but it's looking pretty good with demos for smart notes and things. Yeah.
I guess another point to mention, where it's annotated with the numbers afterwards, it's giving you the references of where it's found that as well, isn't it?
That's absolutely right. Yes. So yeah, if we go over here, we can see this is from Outlook. We can see here this is from something out of Viva Learning. So it's amazing where it's pulling, it's getting content from and context from, and this just seems to be building, as Microsoft sort of evolve the Copilot platform. So that's a great example.
Yeah, and obviously underneath it's got follow-on prompts you can use, and you can pick up and carry on the conversation then. So it's not always a case of one and done. In effect, you can keep interrogating and refining, can't you?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. And then you can then start delving into, maybe there's a couple of meetings which, are really high profile ones, like the thanks Microsoft lists and Checkpoint, like this. Next week I'm off to go to the Digital Revolution Awards judge panel, so I need to kind of make sure I've got my train ticket sorted out and prepare for that. And again, if you're going to a particular high value sales call, making sure that you're prepared, and so you could start using that. Okay.
I've used something similar with this when it comes to finding time with the team. So if I know there's a particular meeting we need to arrange, you can use this sort of thing to collectively check availabilities and get something booked in as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So yeah, and this is where kind of you sort of often limited a bit by your imagination, actually, about where you can use these things, and where this is going is it's a bit of a pain that I have to go in and prompt it, but coming soon is scheduled prompts, and then you'll be able to say to it, right, well, every Friday at 3:30, can you automatically run this prompt and tell me when you've done it? And so then you're really getting the agent to kind of get to do this work for you, and you can then extend that maybe to do a bit more and refine that. So it's really starting to become a helpful tool. So,
just while we've got this up as well, and probably in line with what we're talking about, because I'm not sure it's always obvious, in terms of like shortcuts, people can use the @ symbol to tag someone when it comes to this sort of stuff. So if you want to, for example, I've done bits in the past where I've been like, can you tell me the last document Henry edited in our SharePoint site, for example?
Yes.
So you can use the @ symbol, can't you, to not necessarily, tag's probably the wrong word, but to
Yeah.
target someone?
Yeah. So so if I mean, so that you can use the @ symbol to target Copilot agents as well, which we'll talk about a little bit. But so I don't use this. This is interesting. So which document did Everon send me? Oh, I don't know. Maybe I've not used this. So
if you do the / as well, because that obviously gives you the ability to
yes,
tag. Maybe I'm
yes, that's it.
mixing
Yeah,
two
yeah,
things up here.
yeah,
The
yes.
/ sorry, gives you the ability to, again, tag's the wrong word, but
Yes, no, but that's right. Yeah, reference. Yeah,
reference.
that's
That's
right.
the word I'm looking
Yeah,
for. And again, the same with documents. When we're talking about source, you can give people, you can give the chat source files by using / and being able to pick out files on meetings or documents.
yeah, that's right. And very much that sort of Microsoft 365 search experience where you've got the different verticals, so you can hone in on particular meetings or emails, or in here as well. So yeah, I have to be a bit careful what I'm showing there, but yeah. So yeah, exactly. And if you want to sort of, on those emails, if you want to refine to a particular thing, let's see, Jamie, what we chatted about recently. Yeah, so you can use that as well to find those content, and this has come along a long way. So yeah, it's really good. If you want to reason over particular content and you haven't got it to hand, you can also then, if I just close this down and get rid of that, you can add content into it this way as well, and then you can upload from your device into the context of that Copilot. Yeah.
And
The other thing, go on.
Sorry, I was just going to clarify this. This is for the version of Copilot that's embedded in part of your Microsoft 365 tenant, isn't it? This is the paid version. I don't think you can do something similar with the free version, can you?
I think so. I think with the web one, you can't reference people or your work, but you could add a single file into the context. You could reason over that a little bit like you do with ChatGPT, where you upload a document in and ask it questions around that. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, so that's nice. The other thing as well, while we're on this, is if you're looking to help, maybe help the team prepare for a meeting. So maybe we are, I want to prepare for a meeting, and it's this one, maybe this prompt. Oh, actually, it's probably in the past. So what have I got next week? Generative AI for beginners. So I want to prepare for the meeting. We can sort of go and ask it, so it's sort of a zero shot, and we'll let it work out what it thinks it needs to do. It doesn't want to do that. But maybe
always the problem with live demos, isn't it?
Of course, I want to prepare and provide some context around the iThink Connect Sync software product. So it's just a product we've got. Could you help our marketing team with some marketing ideas? So we're using this now just to create some ideas around a product for our marketing team. Okay. And so we start off, with a prompt, and we're getting to come up with some ideas. Now, say I want to take this and invite the marketing team in and start to kind of evolve this further. Well, again, and you get this with Microsoft 365 Copilot and Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat with the base web-branded one. We get this thing called Copilot Pages, and so we mentioned this before about the Copilot Pages. It's very similar to Canvas in ChatGPT, and so this is creating something called a loop component, and you can start, sort of sharing this with other people. So you can share it with, other people in your organization, and then use this for ideation, but bringing Copilot in on that as well, and we've talked a lot about prompts where it's generating text. We can also get it to generate codes and and images and all sorts. So even with the base Copilot chat, we have that code interpreter, we have a visual designer, all as part of that tool change. So it's really nice way of being able to work with other people and AI all together by taking that conversation into Copilot Pages.
Yeah, I think you correct me if I'm wrong on this as well, but loop components give you the ability to have like shared lists, like to-do lists as well, don't they? And you could utilize your Copilot prompt when you've created an output to create tasks in that to-do list, and then share those with the team and that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah, that's right. And all of these things are using the Microsoft 365 services. So, when you create a task list, that's being created in Planner. So you've got that ability to be able to start adding this. So, Jamie, could you, I don't know, review this document? I can then assign that to somebody. I can set a due date, and I can then sort of jump into Planner from here as well. So it becomes a real collaboration tool. But anyway,
cool. That's really useful. Is there anything else in terms of prompting and demos that you want to cover off, or you think's important to show people?
I think the one thing is just we talked a bit about agents and sort of thinking them in a way where you're using them to really get something done within the everyday tools. So what I want to do is I'm going to bring up a Word document, and I'm going to just open that up, and imagine if you're doing a bid proposal, okay?
Yep.
So lots of us do bid proposals, but how great would it be if we could get AI to help support us in coming up with those answers for bid proposals? Now, I'm not saying that the AI generates everything, but what I'm saying is it helps you to get those answers based off previous bids that you've done. So this is again where agents are really powerful, because what we can do is we can we've got this concept of a prompt, and it's grounded in all the information in Microsoft 365. But what we can do is we can build agents which are grounded in specific information which we want. They're scoped. So what we can do, so we could upload all our model answers to a bid, all our previous bid proposals, and then just tell the agent, right, all you've got access to is just that bid information, nothing else. Okay. And we can then bring into Copilot within Microsoft Word a agent, and this one is it's got a brilliant name called Bidster. Yeah, sorry about that. But this AI agent is just all about being able to help your bid teams get answers and put together answers using your knowledge, your information on how you answer bids. And so what we can do is say, please answer. So we've got a few questions, the random questions I've created. Please answer the following question, and we can give it sort of some context so we can see what we expectations. So please answer the following question in 100 words or less, because that's often the challenge. What do you want? You want bid answers to be good and consistent and the best that you can do, but also they need to be concise. So I can copy and paste that question, and then in the flow of work, in where I really want to be in Word, I've then got this Copilot agent running alongside, and it's going to use this information. And because it's in Word and it's slightly different to, say, Teams, for example, then you've got the ability just to insert that. So now I can work with that. I could maybe do some other work. I could use Copilot. I can make some tweaks and changes to it to come up with that response. And I could do the same here. How do we select subcontractors? What's our criteria? Please answer the following question.
To kind of give a bit of background,
yeah.
The agent is still a LLM sort of chat interface, but
Yes.
you've pre-created this ahead. So Bidster in your example here is an agent you guys have already created, and you've given it more context and focused it in on a particular either data set or a particular set of
Yeah,
requirements.
that's right. We've given it a special prompt really. It's and it's sort of a system context prompt where we've told it how to behave, what tonality to use, what it is that it's being used for. Very importantly, what it can't be used for as well. So it doesn't answer questions on other things. It's all about bids and getting that right. And that's the bit. It does take a bit of time, but
Yeah,
you're setting the scene for it, and then every time you use that agent, it knows how to behave. You don't have to remember to put that prompt in. You don't have to remember what to do. You just get on and use it, and it's already guided on how on its role really. So yeah,
because
and so
agents are obviously probably a newer concept for most people out there nowadays, and it's understanding the difference between how you'd use an agent and how you'd use the standard chat or interfaces. And like you say, the idea is you can create as many agents as you need, but you target them and you're specific about what they do and how they do it.
yeah, that's right. So yeah, so this is an example of an agent, but the way that it's being talked about is that Copilot is a personal productivity tool. So if we were to just sort of show you some use cases here. So we've got some use cases for AI, and Copilot is that personal productivity tool. It's helping you get things done. It's you're working with it and it's
Yeah,
supporting you in those. Whereas agents are more around the rest of this sort of process. Really, they're about helping to find knowledge and getting answers to questions. Very much around business process, doing those sort of the tasks which are time consuming or boring or repetitive. So bring in an agent. So the example I use sort of at the moment is, imagine you've got a business process where you have, again, we'll stay with the sales theme. You've got a sales lead. It comes in via your website. Someone's asking for some information about some products and services you sell. There'll be a process which you take to process that lead, and it probably starts off with the sales executive. In a non-agent world, the sales executive would look, get the lead, would be come to them. They would find out who that person is, what they do, which company they work for, and they do a bit of research around that. And then might take that on and then say, right, well, reach out to them and say how we can help them, and maybe then arrange a meeting and just qualify that lead. But if you were to turn that into an AI agent powered process, then what you could do is the piece of work where you're doing the research into what that company, who that person is and what their role is and what the company does, that could be an AI agent which goes off and does those web searches for you and then feeds that information back to the sales agent, who then can take that information and pop it into the CRM system. So you can start just using agents with people and replacing those sort of boring, repetitive tasks with AI agents. Does that make sense?
yeah. I've seen maybe not quite to the same context as that, but I've seen a really good example of how someone's built a sort of an onboarding HR style agent,
Yeah.
and when the new starter arrives, traditionally you give them a massive handbook, you give them logins to different systems and like documentation on every system. They've basically trained an agent or created an agent where they still get those logins to the different systems and the paper copies of stuff that they need, but they also get the ability just to interact with the agent to get vital bits of information. I'm trying to do
Yes.
this, can you tell me? And it will go away and pull it from that particular document, or they can ask questions about stuff in the handbook without having to read 50, 60
Yes.
page document. So I think a bit like you said earlier, your imagination is kind of the limiting factor when it comes to this sort of stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right, and that's a great example of a sort of a knowledge and getting answer use case. Yeah, that's absolutely right. But going back to personal productivity, this is a great. We can link this into this. This is a great graph. There was a research study done at the end of last year, looking at how much time people were spending on tasks with and
Okay.
without generative AI.
Yeah.
And just sort of helping kind of think of some of those use cases and expand that imagination. These are some examples. Critical thinking, bringing it down on average from 102 minutes to 27 minutes. Being able to make sort of decision making, and judgment calls, helping kind of come up with public speaking and talks. It's incredible just to be aware of where people are using these AI and AI prompts to help them get things done in their day-to-day activities.
Yeah, no, I think anything like that that's quite visual that shows people is really useful at the minute. I think 2024, as I see it, was a bit of a breakthrough year in effect for the masses, and we kind of had that fear of where we were going and how we were going to utilize this sort of stuff. The way I see kind of 2025 going is people are a bit more used to it and accepting of it now, and they're actually starting to utilize it for more than just playing, and
Yes,
it's how we transfer the capabilities into the real business world to drive meaningful benefits. So yeah, I love those kind of graphs, and we'll get those and share those in the meeting, the webinar notes and stuff like that as well.
absolutely. Yeah, no, this is it, isn't it? And I agree with you. As we're still on a long journey.
Yeah,
But people, being the first part is being able to get across some of the things which you can do, which it's relatively low risk and has business benefit, and it's getting people on those journeys. And what we're talking about are those things, being able to use it for personal productivity, being able to use it to find out information and get answers to questions. They are sort of well trodden paths now. So yeah,
yeah,
it's good. Yeah.
perfect. So probably kind of recap or wrap up there, as it were.
Yep.
I'll put your contact details, so I think in the notes as well. Obviously, our Everon details will be there as well. This is a partnership we've had for a while now between the two of us, and we're gonna do more and more stuff around Copilot and AI in the future,
Absolutely.
so people can obviously sign and subscribe. But if there is any immediate questions or people want to get in touch with us, the details will be in the notes as well.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, and you've got there's a couple of events coming up, aren't there, as well, which is worth probably mentioning to people too.
Yeah, so we've got one. It's probably going to be booked up now, but 26th of March is an in-person one. We've actually got Microsoft and some of their Copilot team coming to do a presentation to the group there as well. But yeah, the next one might be July. But yeah, there'll be stuff coming out all the time, and this sort of webinar and training and education is going to be at the forefront of how we want to deliver this sort of stuff.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, just to say, just one thing I will just mention is, again, around the agents, I'm part of a community initiative. It's all sort of Microsoft community, and we're doing a session on the 18th of March, which is just talking about AI agents and how you might apply your sort of maturity to it. So, if people are looking at how they apply AI agents in their business, this will be a really good one because it'll give a lot of thinking about the things you might have to do before you can start bringing AI into
Yeah.
your system. And yeah, but of course, people can chat to us about these things as well. So
Yeah,
how they prepare. Yeah,
if you've got an event link for that as well, we'll put that in the notes so people can sign up.
of course. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, fantastic.
perfect. All right, I hope that's been useful for people. And yeah,
Absolutely, it is.
we'll see you in future content.
Yeah, thank you so much, and have a great rest of the week. Cheers, Jamie.
Thanks.